Good morning. So today we have Mani with us, who has been in the talent acquisition industry since 1995. After building various service organizations in the US, India, and the APAC region, Mani decided to start with Blue Bridge People, which focuses on humanizing technology with a greater emphasis on building relationships and helping technical professionals accomplish their career aspirations. Long term, Mani expects to build a legacy of impacting employees where they can accomplish their personal and professional goals, which is something that's very important because all of us do have a lot of goals, but we don't know what to do with them. So having someone like that to guide us would be something that's very important, essentially. Let's welcome Mani on 10 Minutes of Hiding Wisdom, who will enlighten us with his experience about his journey and some tips that we can learn from. Hi, Mani. How are you doing today?
Good, Minal. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us, Mani. So, can you maybe help us and guide us through your journey, how you ended up starting Blue Bridge People, but what gave you the idea?
Sure. So I've been in the talent acquisition industry for about 20 plus years now, and I moved to the US back in 1990 and really fell into the HR consulting and talent acquisition and IT recruiting space by pure luck and chance. I was working at a career center in college, and back then we didn't have the internet per se. And this company said, "Hey, we're looking to hire some sales guys," and I interviewed, and I loved the job. So basically, it was recruiting IT folks to put them to work, and I did that for about 20 years across the U.S., India, Europe, and Asia Pacific at large. But along the way, I always had this feeling that it'd be more important to make sure that we build great relationships with people, even though they are techies. And unfortunately, techies we get cornered in the space of you're a geek and all you do is fix computers or write lines of code. But my experience was very different. Like these are all people, these are human beings. They've just chosen a different path to get to their aspirations and their goals and whatever they want to do. And so the idea behind starting Blue Bridge was because it never changed. People always looked at the techie guys as a techie who just doesn't care about people, and they felt like they could automate all the recruiting for techies. And coming from a family of techies, I also saw the wild side of the techies, which was really, hey, let's go out and have a good time and let's figure out how we can help each other. So I decided to start Blue Bridge, and you'll see this on my website. It's all about humanizing the recruiting experience. So, of course, you have the technical side of it, which is really your skills and your goals and your interests and what you want to do in a particular job. But there's this other side that's very aspirational, right? You want to get to a certain point in your career. You may want to start a company like me. You may want to rise as a technical person to become a CIO, or you might want to rise to become the technical architect for your company, depending on what your goals are. So I decided to start because the underlying theme for our company is go out and build relationships. I don't believe you'll never see on our website even to send your resume here, click here for the hottest jobs. We just don't do that. We take a very candidate-centric approach. We ask people questions around what they want to do, and hopefully we can go out and match their skills, goals, interests, and aspirations with the right company.
Okay.
But again, in summary, underlying all this is really the relationships that we can build up.
That sounds wonderful, but I have a question. So, according to you, like I understand that, okay, it was a very techy approach that a lot of people used to face with, specifically when they apply for jobs in the tech space. What do you think was a gap that existed when there wasn't a humanistic approach that was given to the techie people? What lacked within that?
Sure. And look, I'm not saying that I'm going to fix it 100%, but I can try to make, the Steve Jobs, try to make a dent in the world while you're here. Yeah. And this is not me saying it. This is coming directly from, I did a mini survey with 10 candidates that I knew, and I did a mini survey with 10 customers that I knew. And to a person, the technical candidate said, recruiters don't really care about my interest. They care about putting me to work, getting a commission check, and moving on. And customers said, and by the way, customers could someday become your candidates, right? So they said the same thing, that you recruiters don't really care about the impact that your technical professionals have on the projects that they're working on or on my business. You just care about coming in, sending me 50 CVs, hoping that one sticks, me hiring that person, you get your commission check, and then you call me 6 or 9 months down the road. So the impetus on the business side was to go, hey, how do we start a company where we can have a better impact on these customers? Because these customers at the end of the day are human beings. Companies don't exist in a shell. They exist because people exist. And so that was the impetus to start and say, okay, how do we bring these two parts of the same community together and have an impact?
That sounds
And then the
wonderful.
other side of it was, one more thing to add to that. The other thing that drove me was to say, when we hire people in our company, are we really starting with the end in mind? Because these people also have goals. They want to add skills. They have aspirations. So I try to build, I'm a very small company. So I try to build an environment and a culture of helping people accomplish their goals as they serve and service the customer base that we have.
That sounds wonderful. I think I love the way you take a very holistic approach where you keep the clients in mind, where you keep the customers in mind, and making sure that everyone gets the best of both worlds. So that's something that's very important. And then I can see how you bring in the human aspect of building relationships and how that is so integral to why your company exists, which is something that's very important at the end of the day. So thank you for doing something like this. So Mani, as in, like, you've been in the recruitment space for quite a while. What are some problems according to you? One of them you mentioned was the as in like lack of humanistic approach in the tech industry. But what are some problems when companies are hiring that they face, especially when they're looking for candidates in the niche industry, specifically tech, for example?
There's supply demand issues, right? There's at any given moment in the tech industry in the US of A, there are 500,000 job openings on any given day. Right, so that's one. So it makes basic business sense to go where the supply is less than demand, or supply is less than the demand. Sorry. The other part that exists is that there's two sides in the U.S. Right. There's the political side, which is like, oh, stop offshoring our jobs and stop hiring immigrant workers and stop hiring these kinds of people because it's going to take jobs away from the U.S. of A. But then there's the business side where they all know in the tech industry that people like you and me always have a need. There's a latent need for new applications, right? So when I look at the tech industry, they're really good at understanding my emotional need for new things, right? And somehow they're able to meet most of those needs, right? So when I look at the whole tech industry, I go, hey, not only is there a need for recruiting in the US, there's a need for us to supply talent to the business community across the world. So you'll see on my website, I've just partnered with a company in India. And obviously there's a personal affinity to India, but I partnered with a company in India because I'm saying, hey, look, I can't fulfill all these needs in the US because we just don't have the talent. So I think I need to provide my customers with options to go, not only can I provide you company or services here, I also have a partner in India that can provide you with offshore recruiting or offshore software development services in India. The business community doesn't care where the work's done. The reality is the work's got to get done, right? I'll give you a personal example. I'm looking at ATS right now. There are a lot of US-based ATSs that are going, hey, I'm going to charge you $180 a user. I just talked to a company in Philippines that said it's $40 a user. So we're going to take advantage of how this world is becoming smaller day by day. So those are the two major things. But again, I want to emphasize that the business aspect of it is why I started the company, because obviously you've got to make money to stay in business as a for-profit. But the other challenge that I see in the business side is whether it's India or it's US or it's San Francisco or it's Chicago or it's Cincinnati, Ohio, the need for human contact and interpersonal relationship building is really lacking. And I think we can change that in a big way. So,
Well, you're on the journey to make a difference, and I think the first step is usually the hardest, which you've already taken. So hopefully, you will definitely make a dent on the world, like Steve Jobs mentioned. So thank you for doing something like this. Well, Mani, our time is up. It was an absolute pleasure learning about you, why you started Blue Ridge People, and how things have been going for you. I wish you even more success than before, and I hope you continue to help people pursue their careers and their aspirations. Thank you so much.
thanks for having me on the show. I look forward to hearing one of these podcasts somewhere out there.
Of course. Thank you. Hopefully.
Okay, sounds good. Bye, Mino.